The supernova SN 1181, observed by the Chinese centuries ago, earned the intriguing nickname of the zombie star because of a rather peculiar astronomical phenomenon. How so? Most stars, when they reach the end of their lives, go through a process known as a supernova. The star explodes in a brilliant flash, releasing an enormous amount of energy. After this explosion, what remains of the star can either become a neutron star or even a black hole. In the case of SN 1181, astronomers found that a small part of the original star, a white dwarf, survived the explosion. This white dwarf, which should have been destroyed by the explosion, continued to exist as an extremely dense and hot object. It's as if a piece of the original star resurrected from the ashes, hence the nickname zombie star. To understand why this supernova was given this name, we first need to explore what happens when a star dies. Welcome to our channel. Today, we're diving into one of the most mysterious and fascinating events in the history of the universe, the Chinese supernova SN 1181. Imagine looking up at the night sky nearly 1,000 years ago and suddenly seeing a bright, new star that wasn't there before. This wasn't just any star. It was the result of a powerful explosion that lit up the sky for months. What caused this explosion, and why is it still important today? Let's find out. First, let's talk about what a supernova actually is. A supernova is one of the most powerful explosions in the universe. It happens when a star, which is like a giant ball of fire in the sky, reaches the end of its life. When this happens, the star can explode, sending out a huge amount of light and energy. This explosion is so bright that it can sometimes be seen from Earth, even during the day. Think of it like lighting a firecracker. When it explodes, it creates a bright flash and a loud noise. But a supernova is like a gigantic firecracker in space. And instead of lasting just a few seconds, the light from a supernova can last for days, weeks, or even months. Now, let's travel back in time to the year 1181. People in China and Japan looked up at the sky and saw something incredible, a new, bright star that appeared out of nowhere. This was the supernova SN 1181, and it was so bright that it could be seen for nearly 6 months. Just imagine looking up at the night sky and suddenly seeing a new star that wasn't there before. It must have been both amazing and mysterious. The people who saw this supernova were so amazed that they wrote down what they saw. These records were kept in ancient Chinese and Japanese books. They described how the new star appeared and how it slowly faded away over time. This was very important because, back then, people didn't have telescopes or modern technology to study the sky. They had to rely on what they could see with their own eyes. These ancient records are still studied by scientists today and help us understand not only what happened in 1181, but also how supernovas work in general. So, what happened to SN 1181 after the explosion? After a supernova explodes, it leaves behind a cloud of gas and dust, known as a supernova remnant. In the case of SN 1181, this remnant is called 3C58, and it's located about 8,000 light-years away from Earth. That means the light we see from it today actually left 3C58 about 8,000 years ago. Scientists have studied 3C58 using powerful telescopes and learned a lot about the supernova that created it. For example, they discovered that 3C58 is expanding rapidly, which tells us that it came from a very powerful explosion. But despite all this, there are still many mysteries about SN 1181 that scientists are trying to solve. Before a star explodes as a supernova, it goes through many changes. First, the star runs out of the fuel that keeps it burning. Then, it begins to collapse under its own weight. This collapse causes the star's core to get extremely hot and dense. Finally, the star can't take the pressure anymore, and it explodes in a brilliant burst of light. The explosion sends shock waves through space, creating a beautiful and complex structure in the remnants. These remnants can be seen with telescopes as glowing clouds of gas, like 3C58.So. Why is SN 1181 important? Well, it helps us understand what happens when stars die. By studying the remnants of the supernova, scientists can learn more about the life cycle of stars and how they affect the universe around them. SN 1181 is also a rare example of a supernova that was observed and recorded by humans, making it a valuable piece of history. The records from ancient China and Japan give us a glimpse into how people in the past viewed the universe and show us how much we've learned since then. But there are still many unanswered questions. For example, scientists aren't exactly sure what kind of star exploded to create this supernova. Was it a massive star that had reached the end of its life? Or was it a smaller star that had a companion? These are questions that scientists are still trying to answer. Another mystery is the exact location of the supernova. While we know that 3C58 is the remnant of SN 1181, it's not entirely clear where the explosion actually took place. This is because the remnants of the supernova have expanded and spread out over time, making it difficult to pinpoint the exact spot. To better understand supernovas, let's quickly look at how stars live and die. Stars are born in clouds of gas and dust called nebulae. Over millions of years, gravity pulls the gas and dust together to form a star. The star then burns for millions or even billions of years, depending on its size. But eventually, the star runs out of fuel and dies. When a massive star dies, it can explode as a supernova. There are different types of supernovas, but the most common ones are Type 1 and Type 2. Type 1 supernovas occur when a smaller star, like our Sun, has a companion star. The smaller star steals material from its companion until it becomes unstable and explodes. Type 2 supernovas happen when a massive star runs out of fuel and collapses under its own weight. This collapse causes the star to explode in a bright flash of light. SN 1181 is believed to be a Type 2 supernova because it was so bright and lasted for such a long time. Supernovas are important for another reason too. They create new elements. When a star explodes, it creates elements like iron, gold, and silver. These elements are then spread out into space, where they can eventually become part of new stars, planets, and even living things. For example, the iron in your blood and the gold in your jewelry were all created in the explosion of a supernova billions of years ago. Without supernovas, the universe would be a very different place. Supernovas can also have a big impact on any planets that are nearby. The explosion can send out a blast of radiation that can damage or destroy any life on those planets. Luckily, supernovas don't happen very often, and our planet is far enough away from any potential supernova explosions. Today, scientists have powerful telescopes and technology that allow them to study supernovas in great detail. They can observe the light from the explosion and learn about the elements that were created. They can also study the remnants of supernovas to learn more about how the explosion happened and what was left behind. Even though SN 1181 happened nearly 1,000 years ago, scientists are still studying it today. With modern telescopes, they can look at 3C58 and learn more about the supernova that created it. This helps them understand not only SN 1181, but also other supernovas that have happened since then. So, what can we learn from the Chinese supernova SN 1181? It's a fascinating and important event in the history of astronomy. It reminds us of the incredible power and beauty of the universe, and it shows us how much we've learned about the stars since ancient times. Even though it happened nearly 1,000 years ago, the supernova continues to teach us about the life and death of stars and the mysteries of the cosmos. In the case of SN 1181, astronomers discovered that a white dwarf, a small remnant of the original star, survived the explosion, defying expectations. This piece of the star, which should have been destroyed, lived on as a dense, hot object, earning it the nickname zombie star. The discovery of this zombie star is important because it challenges existing theories about how supernovas occur. Scientists previously believed that during a supernova, the entire star would be completely destroyed. The existence of this surviving white dwarf suggests that the process might be more complex than originally thought. The zombie star SN 1181 is a reminder that the universe constantly surprises us with new mysteries and discoveries. So, as we continue to study supernovas like SN 1181, we can look forward to discovering even more about the universe and our place in it. The next time you look up at the night sky, remember that each star has its own story, and some of those stories might just end in a brilliant and beautiful explosion. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon to stay updated on our latest videos. See you next time.